happened. I had a shower and I faked hand. Sam was like, oh my god, like, oh my god, like, you just coughed him out, literally. As I was projectile vomiting, my placenta just come flying out. Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, and welcome finally to my labour and delivery story. You're woken up. Have I woken you up? Oops. I'm so excited to film this video. It's been a while, but I'm sorry. Okay, apparently someone doesn't want me to film this video. I'm sorry, because you're having a nice sleep and I've woken you up. So if you don't follow me over on Instagram, then you wouldn't know that I actually did give birth in the end. So this is baby Chase. He was born on the 24th of July at 11:53, weighing £9 4 ounces, which is absolutely crazy. I was expecting a big baby, but I wasn't expecting him to come out at £9 4. And we had such a positive labour and delivery. I couldn't have wished for a better labour with Chase. But obviously things afterwards did go a little bit down south, which I will explain at the end. And if you do follow me on Instagram, again, you will know what happened, but I'll explain it all in this video anyway. But yeah, I've woken him up now, so I don't know how long he's going to last before he wants feeding again. So I'm going to get into this video and I'm going to try my best to remember everything. But it has been 4 weeks now, so Chase will be 5 weeks on Friday, and it's been a while, so I'm really hoping I can remember what happened. You'll probably see me including voiceovers throughout this video, because I know that when I start editing, I'm going to feel like I'm going to remember like loads of stuff and be like, I didn't include that, I didn't include that. But yeah, so without further ado, let's get into the video. Also, I just want to start off by thanking Sophie at the Birth Fairy for introducing me to hypnobirthing. Obviously, you'll find out, but my birth didn't go to exactly what I wanted in my birth plan, but it was so positive and I had such a better experience purely just from using hypnobirthing techniques. And I just cannot believe how well I did, and I'm so proud of myself this time. I mean, obviously I was proud of myself last time with Brodie, but I come away from this birth just feeling so empowered, and I would do it again in a heartbeat. Even though afterwards I said, that's it, no more children, I would definitely do it again. I just wish I had this type of delivery the first time. Coming from someone who had a what is going on with this lighting? So someone can't work out what he wants to do today. So coming from someone who had a really traumatic experience the first time, it took me a long time to get my head around that I was actually going to have to go through it all again. But honestly, no births are the same, and you can definitely have a positive experience after a traumatic first. So if you are pregnant again and you had a traumatic experience the first time, don't go and dwell on your first experience, because this time it can be completely different. No two labours are the same. So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there, because my whole perspective on birth has completely changed just from doing hypnobirthing, and I truly believe in it now. And yeah, it literally changed my life. So if you are expecting and you're thinking about doing hypnobirthing, please do look into it. I'll leave Sophie's details below, but obviously there's other people out there, there's other companies, just go with who you feel comfortable with. But I really enjoyed my session with Sophie, and it was a one-to-one experience, so it's a little bit more personal than a group experience. I just wanted to include that because I know a few people wanted to hear how I found hypnobirthing. But yeah, let's get into the video and I'll tell you all about my labour and delivery with baby Chase. So my labour with Chase started on the 23rd, which was 23rd of July, which was a Thursday. And my last update on YouTube, I think I'd planned to be induced at 40 weeks and it got cancelled, and labour did start, but it kind of come to a halt. So all that week, carrying on from that Friday all the way into the following week, I was still getting, which I now know was mild contractions. So they were so mild though, and I didn't really think anything of it. Every day I was like, is this it? Is this it? Is this gonna happen? Maybe tonight, are they gonna go into anything? Are they gonna progress further? But nothing. All the way up until Thursday the 23rd of July. Me and Brodie got up that day. Sam went to work in the office. So at this point I was 40 weeks and 6 days, so 6 days overdue. And yeah, Sam got up, went into the office. Me and Brodie actually had quite a lazy morning. We was laying in bed, we was watching films until around 8-9 o'clock, and then we got up, we had some breakfast, and all throughout the morning I was getting like cramps, like period pains. Again, I didn't think anything of it because I'd been getting this for like the last week or two, so I was just going about my day as normal. We actually ended up going to Tesco's at about we actually ended up going to Tesco's at about 9:30, and I did notice then that I was coming like regular and they was contractions by that point, and I was texting Sam like, I think they're contractions, but I could literally go about my day at this point. Like, they was a little bit painful but nothing crazy. Because obviously this is my second time, I knew they had to get a lot more intense for me to actually be in labour, so I was like, whatever, this was just like having a period. So yeah, we was in Tesco's, we went to Tesco's, we got a few things, I can't remember what we got that day. But we came home and I was sitting on the ball and I was still crampy, but I still didn't think anything of it, to be honest. I was just carrying on my day with Brodie, sitting on the ball in the living room, playing with Brodie. Yeah, and then I decided to fake tan, and I think I remember putting this on my Instagram stories about fake tanning, and yeah, I was like, I've been getting cramps all morning and I fake tanned. How fun it would be if I went into labour now looking like I just rolled in mud. So yeah, I fake tanned. I had a shower and I fake tanned, which is absolutely crazy because I was actually in labour at this point and I didn't even know. So yeah, I went about my day as usual. I was still getting the cramps, they was coming and going. They was very irregular at this point though. But they was coming for like a good like 50 seconds every like 6 minutes or so, and then like the next one will be 10 minutes apart, then it'll be 6 minutes apart again, so like really irregular. So the day been on and on and on, and then I think I text Sam at about 4:30 because they started to like get a little bit more intense, and I was just worried that I was at home with Brodie on my own and I didn't want to like this baby to come all of a sudden, because that can happen, and I'm there on my own with Brodie. So I was like, I think you may need to come home like now, just in case. And he was like, okay, I'm just finishing something off. Okay, yeah, and I'll just keep this baby in and wait for you to finish work. So yeah, I'm really sorry if I'm like rocking back and forwards, but I'm trying to get him back to sleep. So yeah, and Sam come home from work, we put Brodie to bed, I washed my fake tan off, I'm still getting them, and I was like, do you know what, I haven't actually felt him move much today, so I'm going to call him up anyway, just to like ask about the reduced movements. And they actually said, because I was like, I feel like I'm in early labour, so I called Triage and I said like, I'm in early labour, I think I am anyway. I don't feel like I need to come in because of the labour and the contractions. I'm fine at home, but I haven't really felt the baby move much today and I just want to make sure he's okay. So they obviously said to me to go up and be monitored, but by this time it was around 6:30, 7 and we'd just ordered food. So he was like, okay, we're going to quickly wait for the food to come because it's literally just from around the corner. We'll quickly have something to eat and I'll go in. So our food come literally about 10 minutes later, we had something to eat. I think I ended up getting to Triage at about 8 o'clock. I'm sure it was about 8 o'clock we ended up getting to Triage. So my nan and granddad came round to watch Brodie because he was obviously in bed, and Sam took me up to Triage. In the car on the way there, they was quite intense and I was like, okay, I really hope I don't get here and they check me and I'm only 3 centimetres and I've got to come all the way home again, because I just cannot be dealing with that. That happened with Brodie. I was up and down the hospital and I really didn't want that to happen. So yeah, I got to Triage and they put me on the monitor and he was fine on the monitor, but he wasn't really moving much. I couldn't really feel him moving, but on the monitor they could obviously see him moving. So that was all fine, and they actually checked me, and this is where it all becomes a bit of a blur, this part. They checked me and I was 3 centimetres, and they was quite intense, but from when Sam got home from work to this part, I'd just been breathing through them and using my hypnobirthing breathing, which is the up breathing, and fine, it was really helping me get through. I think they gave me some, I think it's cocodamol or something beginning with C, and that didn't really do much, to be honest. I don't even know why I accepted that, but it didn't do much. So yeah, I was in triage then. They said they're going to put me onto the antenatal ward. What is going on with this lighting? So yeah, they decided they was going to put me onto the antenatal ward, but they was very busy that night, so I had to stay in triage until then. They did say I could have left and gone for a walk like around the waiting room, but I just stayed in the cubicle. Yeah, so I was just standing up, I was trying to get active, I was just standing there swaying and swaying and swaying, just like trying to get gravity to be on my side. I went to the toilet after she gave me a sweep, obviously to check how dilated it was, and she actually gave me a sweep at the same time because I'd come in for reduced movements. And I went to the toilet and all my bloody show literally came away. I'd obviously been losing my plug, but this was my bloody show. And well, at first I thought it was my waters, because I came out of the toilet and I was just like, oh my god, that is my waters. I was like, I think my waters have gone. So she was like, if my waters have gone, do you want to go to the birth centre? And I was like, yeah, that's what I want, so great. So they checked to see if my waters are gone, and unfortunately it wasn't. It was just all of my bloody show coming out. So again, she just left me there and was like, I'm sorry, we're still waiting for beds and all that. So I finally got put on to antenatal. I think it was at, what time was it? I think it must have been about 12:30. I think I've got an Insta story somewhere where I've put up a picture, and I think it's about 12:30 in the end. And so all this time Sam's still in the car park waiting for me, because he don't know whether to go home or wait for me or whatever. So because I was only 3 centimeters dilated, I couldn't go to labour ward or the birth centre, because you have to be 4 centimeters. So they put me on the antenatal ward at 12:30, and again I found a birthing ball, and the midwife there was so good. I found a birthing ball, and she came back to check on me. I was like, I hope you don't mind, I just found this ball in the corner, and I was just bouncing on the ball, leaning over the bed, and that was my comfortable place. And she was like, no, you're doing the best thing, like, you do you. If that's where you're comfortable, then you do that. And I think I was there for around an hour or two. It must have been around an hour and a half. An hour and a half to 2 hours I was there for. And by this point they was like they was getting more intense. But still I felt fine still. Like, I didn't feel like I was in agony. I was like, I'm probably still 3 centimeters at that. Like, I didn't think I'd progressed like anything. And then I was laying there, and all of a sudden I got this really big one, and I was like, I'm just going to get her to check me again. I do apologise for the lighting in this video. The sun can't work out if it wants to stay in or not, so yeah. So I was like, can you please check me again? She was like, of course, like, it's up to you. So she checked me again, and she was like, you are a good 5 centimeters dilated. And I was like, 5 centimeters? By this point I've had no pain relief apart from that cold and whatever they give me. I've just been doing breathing, and I was like, oh my god, I cannot believe I'm 5 centimeters. I've had no gas and air, nothing. I didn't even get my TENS machine out of the box, which is crazy because I was adamant I was going to use that in early labour. Yeah, and I just couldn't believe it. She was like, we can take you to labour ward now. She's like, because you've come in with reduced movements and your waters haven't broken, you can't go to the birth centre. Whereas if your waters had broken naturally, you could have gone to the birth centre. I think that was the reason why anyway. Yeah, so I was like, that's fine, I'm happy to go to the birth centre, it is what it is. I walked. She was like, do you want a wheelchair? And I was like, no, I'm fine to walk. Like, that is how good I felt at 5 centimeters. So this was at 2:30. They put me around to labour ward, and I called Sam. I was like, you can come in. He was like, you sound well. I was like, yeah, I'm fine. I was like, I'm 5 centimeters. And he was like, oh my god, like, and you're talking to me like this. So he came straight up, he brought all the bags in, and yeah, they left us in the room for about 20 minutes just to get settled in. I was like, can I have some gas and air now, because they was getting a little bit intense. And I was like, I'm 5 centimeters, I might as well go on the gas and air. Like, yeah, let's just give me it. So yeah, I got the gas and air, and I was still able to breathe through them. They was a lot more intense, but nothing how I remember with Brodie. With Brodie at 3 centimeters, I was like falling over in pain. I was just like, I can't do this. Whereas I was 5 centimeters and I was fine. I was so proud of myself at that point. I was like, I'm so proud of myself. I got to 5 centimeters with like no pain relief. So anyway, they decided they was going to break my waters to make my labour progress a little bit more. I can't remember the reason why they was going to break my waters. But yeah, at 3:30 it was because of the heart rate. So they put me on the monitor just to check if the baby was okay, and his heart rate was like dipping and going up and down quite a bit, so they decided to break my waters to make me progress a little bit more. So at 3:30 in the morning on the 24th they broke my waters, and when your waters break, your contractions just get so intense, like it's crazy. And when they broke my waters, it literally just kept coming and coming and coming, and it was thick meconium. Like, I remember when my waters went with Brodie and I had meconium that time, it was nowhere near as thick as it was this time. It was just thick, like so thick, it was unreal, and it just kept coming and coming and coming. And because of this, obviously I went from low risk to high risk because I've got meconium in my waters. And yeah, so they decided because of that they was going to put me on the drip. And I think if you've had the drip and this has happened to you, you'll know that it makes your contractions come thick and fast. So they said, do I want an epidural, because obviously like the contractions are going to get a lot more painful. And I remember this with Brodie, so I was like, yep, that's fine, I'm going to take the epidural. I've got no shame in that. It is what it is. I was still very positive at this point. I was still very positive at this point. I was like, okay, that's fine, like just give me the epidural, I don't really mind. But I can't remember what, I think it did take them long to get me the epidural. I think it's only about 45 minutes later. So she didn't want to start the drip until I got the epidural, just in case my contractions came a bit too thick and fast and it put baby in even more distress. So yeah, I must have been about 5:30 I got the epidural. I can't even really remember. But it only worked like down one leg. It didn't fully kick in, and they had an issue where they was running low on the buttons. If you've had an epidural, you know you can top up with a button. There was a shortage on buttons, so I couldn't actually keep pressing it to top up anyway. They had to keep going borrowing it with the girl next door who also had an epidural, so it was like sharing buttons, which was absolutely crazy. Yeah, that is the only down point about my whole labour, is that I couldn't top up my epidural, but it was fine. Yeah, they examined me again, and I think I was 6 centimetres at this point. So this was around 5 o'clock in the morning. I was 6 centimetres. I was like, great, I'm progressing, I'm fine, and blah blah blah. And then it kind of went into a bit of a blur. Yeah, I remember another doctor coming in and examining me, and I was still 6 centimetres, and they was talking about taking me for a C-section, and I was like, if I can avoid a C-section I would, but obviously do what's best. I don't really care if I need to have a C-section, it's fine, just take me. And they decided that they didn't want to do that straight away. They wanted to see if I could progress naturally a bit more, because I've previously had a natural delivery. They knew that I could do it again, basically. So they didn't want to take me for a C-section, which would be unnecessary. And they was worried that baby's heart rate was still like up and down. So they was just sort of watching it and keeping a close eye on me, basically. So yeah, I was just labouring away. And I think it got to around 10. I can't even really remember what happened between then and 10 o'clock. And by this point, I think it was around 10 o'clock, yeah, and I just started getting this pain in my back, and it wasn't a contraction, it was just pressure. Like, if you can imagine like an elephant sitting on the bottom of your back, yeah, like I felt like I had an elephant just standing on the bottom of my back, and I was like, I've got this pain in my back, it is absolutely killing me, it's killing me, what is this? Like, the epidural wasn't even like getting rid of it, that's how bad it was. And looking back, this is where I was kind of transitioning, I think, into the next stage, because I just started crying. I was like, I can't do this. I was on the phone to my mum, like, I can't do this. I was like, it's awful. I was like, there's this pain in my back, and I was like, I just cannot do this. I was like, this pain is absolutely killing me. It's not a contraction. I kept saying to the midwife, it's not a contraction, it's constant pain. Is this normal? I don't even know if this is normal. And they was like, it's fine, it's probably just the baby coming down into the birth canal. Anyway, so I was like, please can I sit up, because I was on my back on the bed and I was like, I'm so uncomfortable in this position. I was like, please can I sit up? I just want to lean over, so like this. And she was like, nope, you can't do that because you've had an epidural. And I was like, please can I just sit on the edge of the bed and lean on Sam? Like, I need to sit up. And they wouldn't let me sit up, which I was really annoyed at. And they put me on my left side and it did not help me at all. And I was just, that's when I called my mum and I was like, I can't do this. And I was literally crying to Sam. I was like, I cannot do this, I cannot do this. And I don't know if I mentioned, they actually checked, they checked me again and I was 8 centimetres. I can't remember if I've mentioned that. This is such a long story. So I was 8 centimetres, I was near the end. And I remember Sam on the phone to my mum going, she's nearly there, she's 8 centimetres. Like, she's literally nearly there. She's done so well up until this point. But I was just like, I cannot deal with this pain, I cannot deal with it. And then I was like, please can I turn onto my other side, like on my right? And they was really reluctant to do that because of the baby's heart rate obviously going up and down. And I was like, please. And in the end, they decided to put me on to my right side. And after that, I literally went into some kind of hypnobirthing coma. And I was on the gas and air, just breathing. I don't even know what happened. I was just out of it. The pain went away. It must have been the way I was laying, and it just took the pressure off, and I just breathed and I just, at one point Sam had to wake me up and was like, Amie, you okay? Amie, you okay? He's like, I was worried about you then, like you kind of just like went out of it. And I ended up like that for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and honestly I just went into this whole like hypnobirthing coma. Like, it was weird. Like, I was just doing my breathing, yeah, and then I was like, I woke up and come out of it and I was like, I can feel the head. I can feel the head, like I can feel him coming down. And I actually got Sam to look because the midwife wasn't in the room, and Sam was like, I can't really see anything. I don't think he even looked, to be honest. I don't think he wanted to, but I was like, I can feel him there. And then the midwife came back and I was like, I can feel the head coming down. And she was like, oh yeah, it's fine, it's probably just pressure. And I was like, no, I can feel the head coming down. This was probably around 11:30. And she was like, well, the doctor doesn't want to come and examine you until 12, which would be like the 4 to 6 hour mark, because they can only examine you like every 4 to 6 hours because of infections and stuff. And I was like, okay, but I can definitely feel his head there. And in the end, I complained about it so much, he went and got the doctor early, and he come in and was like, oh, okay, like, I'm going to examine you again, blah, 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 blah. And they literally lifted the sheet up and was like, oh, baby's head's there, quick. And like literally everyone just grabbed gloves and they put their aprons on, and my legs went up in the air. And they actually said to me, right, we are expecting a big baby here, so that his shoulders may get stuck. We may have to put you in like positions. You may have to have, no, they told me this actually before I felt the head come down. They said, right, we're expecting a big baby from your notes. Like his shoulders may get stuck. We may have to give you a forceps delivery or take you down to theatre and blah blah blah, and all this because he was big apparently. So yeah, they see his head. I get told to start pushing. I literally had 2 contractions. This is where it gets, I'm just so shocked at what happened. I had 2 contractions of pushing and they told me to cough, and I'd done a few coughs and he was out. He was out, and I just see Sam's face in the corner. He was standing over here and I was like, that was so quick. And then Sam was like, you just coughed out a baby. You literally just coughed out a baby. And on my notes, it actually says 6 minutes. It took 6 minutes to push him out. And they put him on me and I was like, oh my God, he's huge. He's massive. And I just couldn't believe how big he was. Sam was like, oh my God, like, you just coughed him out, literally, like. And it ended up I had no grazing. No, I had a small graze, no tearing, nothing, and he was £9.4, whereas Brodie was £8.4, and I had to have an episiotomy, I had to have forceps, like they tried to do ventouse and he just would not come out. He was £9.4 and I literally coughed him out. I cannot believe it. So that right there just goes to show you that no 2 labours are the same and no 2 births are the same. Honestly, I just cannot believe he came out in 6 minutes and I practically coughed out a £9.4 baby. They noticed straight away that he wasn't breathing because obviously I had meconium in my waters, so they had to literally quickly rush him off, and I can't remember how long, I think it was like 2 minutes he didn't breathe for, which was really, really scary. And they actually told me when they broke my waters that they'll have to have the neonatal team there when he's born because of the meconium. So they called them, and yeah, he didn't breathe for like 2 minutes, and he didn't cry for like a good 20 minutes, I think it was. It felt like absolutely forever, but he was fine. They got him round, they got him breathing, and they kept us in the room for about, he was born at 11:53, and they didn't move me to postnatal until 4:30, I think it was. So they kept us in the room for a good like 4.5 hours, like keeping an eye on him because of the thick meconium. They had to clear a lot of it out of his throat apparently, like it was really, really bad. But then it goes on to the next part of the story. So I've just gone to edit this video and realised I forgot to mention my placenta situation. So after Chase came out, I decided to have the injection to make the placenta come out quicker. It still took 40 minutes, right? But it was in there, there was no sign of it moving after 40 minutes. And then all of a sudden, I was like, I'm going to be sick. Like literally, I could feel it coming up. And they handed me a bowl and I was just projectile vomiting. And as I was projectile vomiting, my placenta just come flying out. I'm sorry, this is very TMI, but it's so funny because I was sitting there trying to get my placenta out for 40 minutes. I was sick and it literally just fell out. And I was like, well, at least being sick has made your placenta fall out. Yeah, so that was the placenta situation. They thought he was fine. We got taken back to postnatal. Sam obviously had to leave at this point because it's COVID, you're not allowed in. And we was there and it got to around 9 o'clock and I was just like, it got to around 6. It was either 6 or 7 and I was just like, he's not really been feeding, like he hadn't woke up for milk. He'd only been fed when he was born at 12 o'clock basically, and it was 6 o'clock and he was not entertaining milk whatsoever. And I just noticed he wasn't breathing right, and so I went I called the buzzer and they called the neo nurse round. She was like, I was literally just about to come to you, but because I heard that you'd asked for me to come and check him, I've literally just ran here. And she put him on the stats machine and she was like, no, I'm not happy with him. I'm really not happy. I'm going to take him to the treatment room. And she must have been panicking, but she didn't let off that she was panicking. They have a good way of doing that. So she was like, right, come on, we're going to take him to the treatment room and just give him a little bit of oxygen. So she took him to the treatment room to give him oxygen. And he had gone down to 85% at this point. He was only getting 85% oxygen. And yeah, but I wasn't worrying at this point. I was a little bit worried, but I was like, it's fine, like it's probably just normal, like he's just been born, he had meconium, it was really thick, blah blah blah. And then yeah, they decided, actually I was like, right, okay, I'm just gonna go back because I've got to do my urine sample. Obviously if you've given birth, you know you have to do a sample of urine and make sure you can go a wee after you've had a catheter and stuff, because of the epidural. And I was like, right, I really need to use the toilet, so I'm going to go and do my urine sample and I'm going to come back. So I literally did that, came back, and they was like, right mum, we've got a plan, we're going to admit him into Nicu. So she was like, don't worry, like we're going to put him in there, he's going to be in the best place, he could be out in a few hours or tomorrow, like we're just going to put him in there just so we can monitor him closely because we're not happy with like his stats basically. So yeah, they brought him back to the ward with me at first because apparently they was already busy with another one in labour ward who had meconium, so they had to wait to finish there to come and collect him to take him to Nicu. So around 9:30, 10 o'clock they come and collected him and they literally like wheeled him away to Nicu, and yeah, left me there without a baby on the ward. Yeah, it's really heartbreaking. Obviously I've gotten over all that now. I was really, really upset at the time, That was really difficult because you had people around you that had their babies and you're sitting there and you don't have your baby. But lucky enough, there was 2 other women in my ward, one next to me and one opposite me. Both of their babies were actually in Nicu as well for the same thing. So it's actually very, very common. Yeah, and apparently the midwives on the ward were not happy with it, because they say they let you go so far overdue these days that it happens a lot and it's actually very, very dangerous. They don't understand why they allow people to go over, like, so far overdue, because of the risk of this happening. So yeah, so there was 3 of us in the same ward, in the same room, that had babies in Nicu for meconium aspiration. So yeah, I spent the night there, and then the next day I went down and visited him. They put him into an incubator. They completely stripped them off down to a nappy, and they put them in an incubator, and it was so heartbreaking to see him there. I'll include some footage and some pictures and stuff, but obviously if you do follow me on Instagram, you've probably already seen this whole story. But yeah, they had him in an incubator, and luckily enough, Nicu is literally just down the corridor from the postnatal ward, so it literally took me like less than a minute to go from my bed to his bed, basically. So I was going down there, but you can only visit between 12 and 6 because of COVID, which was the most heartbreaking thing. So you literally had to wait until 12 o'clock before going to see your baby, and you had to leave at 6. But yeah, that whole day kind of went past in a blur, and I think Sam came up to visit him at one point, and only one person was allowed in at the cot side at a time. So obviously I came out, Sam went in, and yeah, I'm trying to think what happened next. Like, I feel like this story is so long and I hope it makes sense. Yeah, so this was a Saturday morning now. They took him Friday night and put him into the incubator. This was Saturday afternoon, and he stayed in the incubator until Monday. On Monday, they moved him out of the incubator and into a cot, and then they moved him into Scoop, I think it's called, special baby unit, special care baby unit, which was another room. So I see him actually be graduated, as they call it, from the high dependency unit to special care baby unit, which is like a step down. So he went on the Monday, and there he actually stayed until the following week on Tuesday. So he spent a whole 12 days in Nicu. It was the most hardest thing we have ever gone through. Honestly, I came home every single day and cried my eyes out. I just hated leaving him. And like I said, you can only visit between 12 and 6. So you get 6 hours a day to spend with your newborn baby because of COVID. And it's just ridiculous. I understand why, but at the same time I don't. Like, it's a newborn, like, you've just had a baby and you can only see them for 6 hours a day. But honestly, the nurses in there were absolutely amazing. Like, I could not fault them at all. He went through so much in there. He had a lumbar puncture done. He had various blood tests done. But he was literally, like, so calm. The nurses loved him. They all kind of wanted to bring him home, and they was like, I just want to take him home. He's so content. He's so cute. He never cried. They used to take his blood from his feet and he wouldn't even cry or scream or whimper. He'll just stay asleep. But yeah, I may do a whole separate video on the whole Nicu thing, because I feel like this video is going to be super long as it is. But yeah, we brought him home when he was 12 days old, and yeah, he's 5 weeks on Friday. So yeah, we're just so happy he's home now and we can enjoy him. And that is kind of the reason why this video has taken so long to get filmed and put up, because we kind of just wanted to enjoy him. And yeah, we've just kind of been settling into life as a family of 4. When they discharged him, the reason why he was in there, they can kind of say, was with suspected sepsis, meconium aspiration and tachycardia, I think it's called. So like when your heart rate's higher than normal or something like that. They was the reasons why he was in there, but he's all well now and he's home. So yeah, recovery wise for me, I've had the best recovery ever. Like I said, I had no tearing, a tiny small graze, which they said, oh, when you go to the toilet afterwards you may get some stinging, but I have had no stinging again. I didn't have that with Brodie either. But yeah, that is my labour and delivery story with a baby Chase. So yeah, he was born on the 24th of July, weighing £9.4 at 11:53, and he's just, oh yeah, he's completed our family so far. Never say never for any more. I always said I wanted 3, but I don't know, after that experience with Nicu, I don't feel I can go through that again. And this would mean I've had 2 babies now that have been born with meconium aspiration, because it did actually happen with Brodie. He wasn't that bad that he had to be admitted to Nicu, but I don't know if I want to chance that again. And if we do decide to have a 3rd baby, then I really want to be induced at 40 weeks and I don't want to be over. But yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I really hope it made sense, because it's been so long now and I was just trying to remember every detail. But yeah, I do really hope you enjoyed it. I'm so sorry it took so long, but obviously I hope you understand why. So yeah, he wants feeding now, so I better get going. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all in my next one. Bye guys.
You had me at hello, 'cause where you go is where I go. I don't need nobody else. I got you, and you got me too. You can ride